Hi everyone, Materim here again with the second battle that we played in preparation for the tournament on Saturday. Um, this time I sit down with my Ogre Kingdoms, the Whitetooth clan, and face off against the same Lizardmen army at 3,000 points pitch battle. Um, I'm not going to go over the Lizardmen's list in detail. The one thing to take note from this fight that was not done in last fight was the Lizardman player had totally forgotten to put his Chameleon Skinks on the board last battle in against Bretonia, but he remembered them against me this time. So that's really the only difference. So let's go ahead and we'll get right into deployment. And when I go over my deployment, I'll go through my list in more detail. So starting with the lizard deployment, he's got one unit of skinks behind the hill, one unit of skinks on the hill, the salamander next to that, and his unit of Saurus warriors. And he's doing the same trick he did last time, where he's putting his the Saurus scarvets and whatnot that are on the coal ones in the units to start off. I guess to just distract us. I'm not really sure what the point of that is. But continuing on, you've got the Temple Guard with the Slan in it. He's got all the signature spells again. He's got another unit of Skinks there in the forest. Behind them is the Ancient Steg. Next to that's another unit of Skinks with the Skink Croxagore unit behind that. Then he's got the Bastillodon with the solar engine, I think is what it's called, the laser beam thing on top of it. Then he's got the other Steg with the bolt thrower on top of that, his Skink Chief on the Pterodon, and then, oh no, I guess, okay, he did hide one of the Saurus on a cold one in one of the units. He's got the other two here, and then in the back next to the tape measure is his Skink Priest that's Heaven's caster that he actually forgets about for most of the game. And here, because I didn't really leave him much other choice, this is where his Chameleon Skinks ended up on the board. I smartly spaced everything out so he couldn't get behind my lines and threaten anything, so this is pretty much as close as he could get. Now, this is one of those things, because I'd never played Lizardmen before, I've just heard about these Chameleon Skinks. I was way more concerned about these things than I should have, and it's going to bite me in the ass here. So, starting on my left, I have one of my Saber Tusks. The unit there is a 8-man unit of Ogre Bulls with the Iron Fist. In the center of that is Torga Blackstew, my Butcher level 2 Lore the Great Maw, with the Dispel Scroll and the Iron Curse icon. And then right next to them is another one of the Saber Tusks. Then I've got my 8 Lead Belchers. The big unit next to that is my Tyrannical Guard, 9 Iron Guts with full command and the Dragonhide banner. I also have Tok'ran Face Crusher, my Tyrant in there, and he has the Ogre Blade, the Enchanted Shield, and Talisman of Preservation. As well as Chog the Toothy, my level 4 Slaughtermaster with the Fencer's Blades, Glittering Scales, and Greedy Fist. And this time I'm doing Lore of Beast. I kind of got tired of Lore of Heavens, so we'll see how this works. And in the center of that unit is Gat the Old, the Army Battle Standard Bearer. He has the Rune Maw and the Death Cheater Big Name. And next to that was my Stonehorn. And here you see I've got one more Saber Tusk. I have on top of the hill my Iron Blaster and the 3-man Yeti group I use as its guard. And they have a Greyback, the champion. And then I have a 2-man unit of Mournfang Cavalry with the Banner of Eternal Flame. Alright, so I won the roll to go first. And here on the left, I ran up my Saber Tusks just to get in the way, start chaffing some stuff up. The one on the left there, I ran towards the Skinks. I figured that they were going to poison him to death, so he was pretty much a throwaway. But I wanted them shooting at Chaff and not the big Ogre unit that's moving up. Because I'm thinking that the Ogre Bulls there are a pretty good match for his Saurus Warriors. And I want them to come out a little farther so I can cram that unit down his throat. So here in the center, the Lead Belcher unit moves into the building, which I love. They've got great 360 sight there. Then the Tyrannical Guard unit moves up just to the side of the building. My thought here was that if anything charges the Saber Tusk, it's going to present a flank to him. It was also there to dissuade him from going and charging the building, because he would have to deal with the Tyrannical Guard in the flank. Now here you see what I mean by I was way too worried about those Chameleon Skinks. I threw the Saber Tusk, the Yetis, and the Mournfang Cavalry over there in that direction, and it was just unnecessary and put me in a terrible position. And then the Stonehorn moved up because I want to throw down on something, preferably one of his big monsters, and just smash it in the face. Magic was no big whoop, but shooting I was just within range to blast the Slans unit with the Temple Guard in there. And I actually ended up killing 6 or 7 of those with the Lead Belchers. So I was thinking that's awesome. I really want to kill that unit and have Tok'ron get some frog legs for dinner when he gets a hold of that Slan. So I was thinking this was definitely some moves in the right direction for us. So with my Iron Blast totally failing to hit anything and no combat, we go straight into Lizard turn 1. You see he moves up the Temple Guard a lot more aggressively towards that building than I thought. And the problem was I put myself too far with my Tyrannical Guard. He ended up, because of the number that I killed with the Lead Belchers, he got past my front arc of vision, and so that was troublesome. Then you see he moves up the Skinks, one alongside the Saber Tusk there to shoot it to death. The other one he gets right up in the face of the Ogres to block them from getting into the Saurus Guard, or the Saurus. But I came up with what I was hoping was a clever solution to this, and you guys will see it on my next turn. Here you see everything else moves up aggressively. Those Skinks move up to block the Iron Guts from getting in anymore, so I can't even reposition to get that flank. The Bastiladon with the laser beam just moved way the heck back, so I didn't get a hold of him. And everything else kind of moved forward. Well, everything else in the middle moved forward a little bit. The other Ancient Steg with the big crossbow on it stayed where it was, so it wouldn't take any penalties. Then over here, this is actually after shooting. You see that his Skink Priest came up and actually charged the Saber Tusk there, which I stood. But he basically used the big laser beam to melt my Yetis without a problem, which was sad. And the Chameleon Skinks moved right around, not caring about my Mournfang one whit. So I was feeling pretty stupid for moving those there. And then this is actually the picture I put the Yeti back just to remind myself that he melted all 3 with the laser beam. He did like 7 wounds, which would have left one normally, except for the fact that they're flaming wounds and the Yetis are flammable. So they went down quick, but you know what? I still think it's a worthwhile, because A, they're beautiful models. I love the Yetis, and I really love their fluff, so I enjoy playing with them. And moreover, they're 140 points, so he's doing that instead of throwing that into my Iron Guts, which I still think comes out as a choice in my favor. So I managed to stop the magic I could, with one exception. He ended up getting Ice Shard Blizzard off on my Lead Belchers, which is going to be problematic. So we go into shooting, and the one Skink unit in front of the Iron Guts lays into him, and he's rolling terribly. He only got 1 wound through. He just was not rolling those poison hits, so the Ogres are tossing him off easy. Now over here, these Skinks did a lot better. They ended up killing 1 Ogre and putting a wound on a second. So I know I've got to do something to get rid of some of these Skinks, or they're just going to nickel and dime me to death. Particularly with the Ogres, their only real defense is that high toughness, and those poison attacks are going to pretty much ignore that. So that worries me. Um, so the skinks here let loose into the saber tusk, and again he can't roll poison attacks, so he actually only gets one wound on the saber tusk. None of those skinks are dead. That's just a really small army mover, and so he just kind of lays them there to fall all around. But since they're skirmishers, it's not much of a big deal. So we go into combat, and needless to say, the skink chief on the pterodon absolutely destroys my kitty there, and he's going to end up overrunning right in front of my cannon because he wants to get rid of that iron blaster. He got lucky, and I didn't. I rolled like a 2 as far as the bounce, so total of 4-inch bounce, which didn't hit anything, and he doesn't want to give me a second shot. And I guess I got it wrong earlier. He actually didn't just move these guys up; that he charged into the building. So he ended up fighting me, and I killed 3 of the skink or 3 of the temple guard, and he ended up killing 2 of my ogres. But I was steadfast and held, and he bounced. Okay, so we go straight into Ogre turn 2, or as I will call it, the turn where I tried to be too clever for my own good. Um, as you can see, I started here with a charge into his character with the Mournfang. I failed that charge, which sucks. I didn't roll very well at all. Um, but my idea was, you know what, I had seen that these guys had been held up by knight units. In the other game, I figured, you know what, my Mournfang are better than the Bretonnian Knights, so I'll tie this guy up. Maybe I'll get luckier and have the Mournfang just chomp him. Maybe I'll even get so lucky that he'll die in impact hits. But all of that was foiled by the fact that I can't roll a charge roll to save my life. And for the matter just stated, my dice were terrible this whole game. Not that that really excuses what's going to come. I did manage to succeed a charge into the Skink Croxagore unit with the Stonehorn, but he stood and shot, and he ended up getting 2 poison hits through, and I did not succeed a single 4-up armor save. So the Stonehorn goes in with 2 wounds on him there. I should have seen this as an omen of how this turn was going to go. Now here is where I got too clever. I figured I would charge Tukron out now that the Saurus were there, or the Temple Guard were there away from the building, and I'd challenge, chew through a couple characters, and then get my hands on the Slann. My other plan was to charge Chog out into the Skinks, and they can shoot him all they want because he's immune to poison. Problem is I didn't realize that you could only charge 1 character out of a unit per turn. So that was the one I declared first, and I got screwed by it. And, I mean, my opponent probably would have let me redo it, but since we were practicing for the tournament, I didn't even ask. I'm just trying to kind of play my dumbness and take my lumps where I need them. But I figure, you know what? I love Tukron. The idea of him just rushing out and beating face on some Temple Guard and trying to get him some frog legs definitely sounds like a win for me. And then here on this side, I successfully did with Torga what I failed to do with Chog on the other side. She charges at the Chameleon Skinks. He stands and shoots, and because she's immune to poison, she doesn't take any wounds. So I'm figuring I can go ahead and do some impact hits. She's going to just kill these guys. I'll overrun, and that'll clear the way for the rest of my ogres to go into his Saurus. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for there. So then we go into shooting, and I don't want anything to do with that character. So I grape shot his Skink Priest in the face, and for what will be the only shooting that the Iron Blaster manages to accomplish the entire game, he blows away the Skink Priest and basically leaves a steaming hole where the Pterodon once stood. So I figure that was pretty good. So we go here, the Stonehorn just crushes face. I do a bunch of impacts on the Skinks, and even manage to get 2 wounds on the Croxagore. So I'm thinking this is great. My impact hits kill a few more. So I win the fight by a landslide, but he still has a rank, so he's stubborn, and stubborn Lizardmen succeed their leadership check. So he doesn't break, so that's going to turn into a grind. Over here, Tok'ran gets 2 wounds put on him because I can't roll a 3-up armor save and a 4-up ward save. Or I guess it goes up to, because they had great weapons like 6-up and 4-up, but whatever. But I managed to take out a few other of the, or I managed to take out his champion from the unit, I think, and crush that. So we hold. I think I lost, but I succeeded the leadership check. So going into the next Lizardman turn, he makes me pay for my mistake, charges this character right into the face of my Mournfang. I obviously am going to stay, but I'm in bad shape now. I'm not getting the impact hits, and he's basically going to teach me that I totally misjudged this particular character and what these Mournfang can do in combat. His other character ended up charging into the side of the Stonehorn. So did the Elder Ancient Stegodon manage to catch the front. So, yeah, I took 2 more hits from impacts, and yeah, this is pretty much where we stand, and it's going to be ugly for that poor Stonehorn. And I didn't mention it during last turn, but Torga, you can see her at the top of the hill. She did blow through those skinks like I thought. But the Saurus come in here into the face of the ogres. The other unit of skinks ignore the cat and move around. They're going to go try and chase Torga down. And his salamander basically moves around to Torga's front so he can try and burn her to death. Looking at this now, I'm not really so sure about whether those ogres can handle the Saurus guard or the Saurus warriors or not. I'm thinking I may have miscalculated there. So then during his movement, he makes me pay for my screw up over here by setting up a double flee situation with the Saurus or the skinks to keep my Iron Guts from getting into anything. It also is going to let him basically just sit there and shoot them to death. The other Stegodon that's behind them has the big blowpipe thing, so he's planning on just trying to shoot all of these Iron Guts to death with poison shots. And you do see while they were walking by, these skinks decided that they couldn't leave the poor kitty all alone half dead, so they decided to finish the job, and finish it they did. So during combat, I can't get anything in on his character. He ends up getting lucky and I end up getting lucky rather, and he only does 1 wound to me. So I think I lost by 1, but the Mournfang managed to hold on. So I was feeling pretty good about that. I think the reason he didn't get any wounds is because he had the flaming gem there. And this fight in the middle, that was just too much pain at one time for one Stonehorn to deal with. They just ate him alive. I didn't even get to go. I think he died. He might even have died in impact hits, but it was messy. My poor Stonehorn. I really love the model, and I think it can do good things, but by God, I need to learn how to play with this thing, because I screw it up every game. So then we go on to... Tok'ran took 2 more wounds during combat here. But I just decided to go ahead on my turn and charge the Communion Skinks. I thought he was going to double flee. But he ended up staying and shooting... I think he killed 1 Iron Gut and put a wound on another one. But I got into them, and I'm going to mess those dudes up so bad. And over here, Torga, who... has all of her father's gumption, rushes headlong into the face of the salamander and is hoping to beat him to death with her giant rolling pin. Because really at this point she's got nothing else to do over here, as now that the ogres are in combat she can't even run back and join them. So I figure with all this crazy shooting, the safest place for her is going to be in combat. Over here, I kill another character with Tok'ran. Shooting and magic have just been a total wash. He's been stopping everything I've got, and the fact that I've had Ice Shard Blizzard for 2 straight turns on my lead belchers has just prevented them from doing anything. So I don't actually take any wounds on Tok'ran this time, and I think I took out his Saurus character the first time, and now I think I took out the champion. It doesn't much matter. So, and then combat over here. Yeah, he just smokes the poor Mornfang. I don't even think he runs them down. I think, or no, he does. He kills the one. The other one is the banner, and they break, and of course the banner immediately dies. So I don't even think he has to overrun. And over here, Torga does 1 wound on the salamander and takes none of her own. So she's holding tight, and frankly, that's kind of where I want her to be because I don't really have any other use for her. Like I said a minute ago, if she can take me these points and then I can turn around and go mix something else up, I'll be pretty happy, I think. So, start of Lizard turn 3, he had no charges, and due to his overrun, he was actually behind the front end of the Iron Blaster, and that's where those skinks have been trying in vain to kill it for 2 turns now. So he moves himself around to the front here, and he's got a wound on him. Maybe the Mornfang did do a wound on him. That makes sense. I think the Mornfang did do a wound. And then the other one comes over here to set up for a flank charge. And now the Iron Guts are in trouble. I mean, they've got Skinks on that corner. They've got 2 Stegodons coming in, and this beefy beatstick cowboy lizard ready to go into their side. So I think I misused them to begin with, and now they're basically just there to soak up damage so that nobody gets in to Kron. And over here, I think we had exchanged wounds last time, but you see in his movement phase, at any rate, he moves up those skinks so that they're eventually going to go get into a fight with Torga there, which I don't necessarily think is a great move on his part. But that's pretty much how it is. So he ends up again Ice Shard Blizzarding my, or maybe he fails Ice Shard Blizzard this time on the Lead Belchers and gets Earthblood. I know he was trading those back and forth. Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm stupid. This is the turn where he starts trying to slow Tok'ran down. So he miasmas Tok'ran and takes 3 off of his weapon skill, which brings him down to a 3. So shooting goes on here. Another one of the Iron Guts dies a horrible death. So I'm left with basically the command crew, Chog, and Gat the Old, my battle standard bearer in that unit, and that's it. Again, at this point, I'm not really sure what to do. I've screwed up early, and now I'm just feeling very overwhelmed by these things that I don't really have a good judge of because I've never played against Lizardmen. So over here, Tok'ran, even with his -3, manages. He challenged the Salon at this point, runs to the back, and he manages to kill a few more Temple Guard without taking another wound, even on a leadership 3 or a weapon skill 3. So my leadership, I still think I fail. I lose, and so he sticks though. So this is just, he wants them frog legs and he wants them bad, and he ain't gonna let no little lizards get in his way from him. So Ogre turn 4, I finally charge Chog at those or those skinks there. He failed to shoot him. Mainly at this point, I want him to kill them and run off. Mainly to save his points. If I can clear them out so I can get a charge on one of those monsters and maybe get a kill, that would be great, but I'm not even thinking that far ahead at this point. So looking at the two, I decided to face myself to go help Tok'ron out instead of going for a monster, figuring that the Slan's going to keep trying to magic him into a bad position. If I can get a charge off, maybe it'll be enough to push the tide of that battle the other way. And I mean, I've got to do something. I just don't have much use left with him. There's very little of that unit left. So magic and shooting don't go well, with the exception that I do get Savage Beasts of Horos off on Tok'ron, so he's ready to chop him some shit up. Chog does defeat the Chameleon Skinks, but only by his charge, and they actually break. So they're running off. He ends up not catching them. So as you can see, he ends up, an inch behind them. And so that's that. So we go into the next Lizardman turn, and he charges his character into the Iron Blaster since he's just completely failed to kill it from shooting. And I'm thinking it's dead at this point. I've seen this character just wipe the floor with a whole unit of Mournfang, and I've got a cannon that can't shoot for crap right now. So I'm pretty much just prepared to watch that Iron Blaster die a horrible freaking death. And frankly, I'm almost happy for it. And then here's what I didn't want. Triple charge in on the Iron Guts. I know I'm pretty much going to die from impact hits on this. It's just a stupid number of impact hits coming in from both of those Stegodons. And then his Saurus Old Blood there is just going to tear Gat the Old apart. And that's just going to be a huge number of points lost, and there's nothing I can do. However, here I put a second wound with Torga, or I had put a second wound with Torga on his Salamander, so he decides finally now is the time to charge in with the Skinks. So they're obviously going to succeed the charge. I think he was closer than his movement, but I'm actually kind of glad they're getting in. That Salamander's kind of hard to hit, and I'm planning on just getting combat res off of those dudes. And I guess I didn't take pictures of this, but last turn, the Saurus had broken the my ogres and overran them, or rather, they were fleeing, and then he charged again this turn, and they ran off the board. And the Saurus actually, or the Skinks here, failed to rally, so they continue to run. So this is actually where I want them. They're still within range, so Chog can declare a charge next turn, and they're just inches from the edge of the board. So I'm going to get those points, as sort of unnecessary as they are at this point. But yeah, I'm trying to get it. And you see he then turns his big laser beam thing over to go to Chog, as well as the two little Skinks that were left from that Crocs Skink unit. I'm really angry that I didn't get those two, because that's a lot of points that I left there, because I don't get the points for the Crocs, I don't get the points for the rest of the Skinks, so that's going to be really, really annoying. And then as you see here, he's actually moving the Chameleon Skinks around to be able to shoot at Chog, because he's pretty much given up on any chance of being able to shoot the cannon to death, and figures now that his character's in there, he's just going to chop him up, and there's nothing we'll have to worry about. So magic and shooting are a wash, so at this point we go right into close combat. And he deals with the combat with the Iron Guts first. And as you can see, pretty much like I predicted, he just tore him apart. There really was nothing left of the unit. And then he turns everything to look at the side of Tok'ron, which I'm not happy with. The Whitetooth are all but dead at this point. All we have on the board pretty much is Chog, Tok'ron, his daughter, and a few Iron Blasters, or a few Lead Belchers. Then here he just starts throwing negative spells. Or no, he did throw another negative spell on Tok'ra. I think this is miasma again. But I managed to get the Slann in a challenge now. I've killed enough of the other dudes that he can't refuse because he's in base to base with me. And but with the penalties, I can't hit him. So I'm doing a few wounds. And Torga just turns around and smashes the crap out of those skinks that came on her backside. And I think she ends up taking a wound this turn from the salamander. But next turn I cast the stubborn spell and get it to go away. So she's not in any danger of dying, but that fight's not going anywhere either. So we go into Ogre turn 5, and I start off with Chog chasing the skinks off the board, which really at this point it was just feeling good to take some points. The way this fight had been going, I had almost forgotten what it was like to actually be able to take some points. Admittedly, it was a pathetically small amount of points, but at this rate, I'll take what I can get. And here's the other thing. Last turn when the iron guts were destroyed, the lead belchers panicked out of the building, and they stepped out of the building. Then this turn they failed to rally, ran through the Saurus and didn't take any wounds on dangerous terrain, but ended up right there because didn't rally them. So we then go into combat, and I actually realized that this should have been an infantry unit, because my cannon, which hasn't shot anything to death all day, murders his character. He ends up getting one wound on me, I think, maybe. Oh no, he's always strike last, so his cold one didn't hit, and my Rhinox ended up tearing him up before he could get there. So, and here is that fight. The spell card there is the stubborn spell. I got up on her to heal that wound, and I don't remember if I did any wounds this time, but I ended up losing because they're in my back, but I was stubborn and managed to stick it out for another turn, which frankly I needed. My characters are doing the work, and I can't have them die. So we go at this point. The Slann and Tok'ra bounce off each other, so we go to Lizardman turn 5. And here you just see his dudes kind of maneuvering themselves around. I think he's going to try and blast Chog there, and he wants his men behind him so that if Chog has got to go through some stuff before he can get away. And then over here you see he's got he basically repositions everything so that he gets the one ancient stegodon out of the way. The other one's going to come in at Tok'ra's flank, and his character's going to come on come into Tok'ra's back. And even though they're in a challenge at this point, he just needs the combat res to break me, because I'm rolling like 4s and 5s on my leadership checks. So then in combat, we as shooting and magic, he keeps up the same spells. I can't stop him. He ends up the skinks end up breaking, but the salamander stays, so I can't chase him down. So they're turning and running off the hill at that point. I wish I had been able to chase him down. It would have been nice to get a few more points. And then here, Tok'ra ends up putting. I think I've got the Slann at this point down to 1 wound. But on his next turn, he's going to end up casting a life spell and getting him an extra wound back. So it's like what little forward momentum I'm making, he's really undoing. So top of Ogre 6, and I think we actually lost count. I think we thought this was top of Ogre 5, but it doesn't much matter at this point. The Lead Belchers do manage to rally and turn around to face the back of the Saurus Warriors, who are marching towards that big melee in the middle with Takron. Um, and being that we thought this was turn 5, I figured I'd get some shooting or a charge maybe. Um, Chog basically just turns around so he can throw some magic over there. I've got Amber Spear and hadn't been able to do jack with it all game. So I'm thinking maybe I've got one more turn to get rid of that big laser beam throwing lizard and maybe pick up a few more points there. But it's kind of wrapping up time. Um, I do end up in combat, finally killing the salamander. So Torga kills the salamander, turns around and looks at the skinks. Again, because we thought it was turn 5, I figured I'd have one more chance to get up in their face. But frankly, I'm pretty happy she killed the salamander. It kept her alive. Being in that combat kept her alive, and she knew when to end it, so I could get the points. And then we go over here. Again, I do like one more wound to him, but he's basically that was the life spell that was undone. So it's just been a lot of like, let me do damage, let me heal up, let me do damage, let me heal up. And I didn't realize that the Salon kind of suck dealing damage, but they're a pain in the ass to kill. And then we go to bottom of. I didn't get any magic off, no shooting worthwhile. So we go to Lizardman turn 6. He turns around his skinks to try and shoot the Iron Blaster again. He figures this is kind of his last shot to be able to take the thing out. But he's gone all game at this point with the Chameleon skinks without rolling a single poison. So I'll take that. And he's actually bringing the last 2 skinks over so they can help out with the Iron Blaster as well. Figuring he can get as many as he can. And I think he even tries the. Like, that's why he's got the Bastiladon pointed that way, because he's going to try the laser beam on him too. And at this point, no matter what else is going to happen, this cannon has just been unmurderable, and I really want to protect it. So the other Stegodon with the blowpipes turns around to point at Torga, and the skinks fail to rally, and they flee a little bit more towards the center of the table. And then he turns the Saurus around again to face the Lead Belchers. Again, really, this move only makes sense when you realize that we thought it was turn 5. Not that it matters, because we didn't take another turn after this, because we were also playing under a time limit that the tournament will also operate on. So we ended up running out of time, so this was the last turn. All in all, it ended up working, because we ended at turn 6 after all. But yeah, he just wants me not to go anywhere. And finally, with the other animals coming in, Takron, his mighty and powerful quest for frog legs ends in the stomp of Stegodon feet, and he is finally taken down. And the funny part is it wasn't even wounds that did it. I ended up just breaking from combat res, and they ran me down. So this is what the board looks like at the end. All I've got left is that unit of Lead Belchers, Torga up on the hill, and Chog off to the right. You can't see him. And the problem is there's an awful lot of Lizardmen still on the board, and even the stuff that I beat on pretty hard has got like 1 or 2 guys left on the board. So I didn't get full points for hardly anything. And so, to no one's surprise, the victory goes to the Lizardmen. I got beat bad. It was like 1,200 points difference. And that's even factoring in a couple of the little small points that I got for the scenario we were trying to run under the tournament. But I got beat. And looking back on it, I wish I could have said it was because it was late and we didn't finish till midnight and we were tired. I was tired and whatever. I basically wish I had an excuse. What it comes down to, I really think is I went in with a casual mindset and a casual battle plan because that's what I usually do. And I brought it to a tournament level game. And my opponent just took advantage of kind of the zany, maybe unoptimized things I did, both in terms of army choice and my tactics, and just curb stomped me for it. And that's not to say that he was being mean about it or anything. No, the guy, he's played with us before. He kind of knows how we do things. Um, but we asked him, hey, prep us for this tournament, prep us for some of the stuff we're going to see. Um, Kind of give us an idea of what to deal with, and he brought his A game and I didn't. Is ultimately what it amounts to. Um, as far as the list goes that I was playing with, um, for the most part, I like it. I end up I've finished. I've gotten my list for the tournament now, and all I really did was a couple of tweaks. I took away two of the Iron Blasters, or not Iron Blasters, the Lead Belchers, and put in two more Iron Guts instead. Um, and I switched around some of the gear a little bit, just little tweaks, not much of anything. And in case you're curious, I did keep the Stonehorn and the Yetis. Um, I'll optimize my list for a tournament a little bit, but the casual player in me has to draw the line somewhere, and I'm meeting new players for the first time, and I'm very proud of my Yetis, at the paint job and the way they look. So it would, it, I can't bring myself to leave them at home. Um, but like I said, I think there's going to be some big talent here, sort of unexpectedly, as I explained at the end of the last battle report, number 13. Um, so I want to have a good showing, but I'm not going to get too obsessed with the win, the loss, whatever. Um, I'd like to win more than I lose, but more than that, I want to go and I want to have fun, and I want to play some new people, meet some new people, maybe find some friends from the area who might want to play on a more regular basis. Um, but for me, this is just going to be a fun and relaxing Saturday, and if I get curb stomped for that, I get curb stomped for that. um, and I mean, that's kind of the way I play this game. I really am all about the casual. I'm all about the fun. It's a game. Um, I don't play to win at all costs by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I still won't use the Hellheart because I think it's unfair and not fun. um, but that's one of those things that really proves to me that I don't think I could ever be a serious tournament player because that's just not the mindset I have for it. I'd rather take stuff that's cool and it's flavorful and fits the fluff, than trying to figure out how to optimize for every eventuality. But um, this second game with the Lizardmen, they impressed me a lot more. Because of the way his one character got killed so soon and the others were kind of off on the flank, I got to see a little bit more of what his units could do, and I was definitely more impressed with that. The Temple Guard were pretty good, although I find it amazing that a single Ogre Tyrant basically held him to a standstill for 4.5 turns of the game. The Saurus were strong. I'm used to playing Empire and Bretonia and Skaven, where your core choices, there's just nothing in core that can handle an ogre pack, even when they don't get the charge. And so I really underestimated the Saurus. So they're cool, and the Skinks are fun. I can see why people want like playing those. Still kind of about the dinosaurs. But again, I didn't really get to see a whole lot of them. He didn't really. Or maybe I'm expecting the wrong things. I mean, maybe I'm expecting him to be able to like charge into combat and stomp face, and he really didn't do that much with them. But all in all, I think while I think a little better of the Lizardmen now, I still think it's putting me off of going with them. Not that I'm in the market for a new army right now. I'm still working on building up my demons and my dwarves at the same time. So, but I think I made the right choice in choosing to build a dwarf army rather than a lizardman army. So, uh, well, I think that's the end of my wrap up. I can't think of anything else to jabber on about. So, um, again, I'm looking forward to this tournament, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the last few battle reports in my perhaps misguided attempt to gear up for this tournament and to plan and prepare as much as my brain will allow me to do any of those things. But I hope you enjoyed the battle report as always. If you like what you saw, subscribe and like the video. If you saw anything we did right, wrong, strange, any thoughts about Lizardmen, Ogres, tournaments, casual play, any of the above topics, feel free to leave comments below. I do stay on top of them and very much enjoy discussing the hobby, discussing the videos, and discussing the game. So, again, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.